Marathon, the world's fastest half marathon.
Hello and welcome to the RAK Half Marathon, where once again some of the world's best distance athletes have been gathered together to do battle. Well, there is the full lineup. Ibrahim Ceylan there at the bottom, a very interesting entrant, making his debut, a serious debut at the half marathon, the former world champion at 10,000 metres. But the other big names at the top there, all established marathon runners, and they will be the men to beat. Loaded with talent indeed. In fact, that women's field is probably stronger than the men's field, relatively speaking. Guteni Shone, fight-assisted essay there at the bottom, both capable of winning this one. They've all run a long way under 70 minutes, that benchmark of world class for ladies in the half marathon. Well, the athletes all very nervous then before they get underway. This is the pinnacle of months of hard training for each of these East African athletes. And of course, they're all nervous, and those nerves are important. It's important that you get hold of that adrenaline and channel it towards your performance. So athletes that get worried shouldn't be. It's a good thing. They head up the Muntasir Road, turn right along the Mangrove Road, they call it, right at the Officers Club, past the Sheikh Zayed Mosque, and then left there onto Nada Street, around 6 or 7 kilometres. They turn left at the Al-Shuhada roundabout, and then right again past the Ruler's Palace, along the Kuzam Road, down past RAK Hospital, where they make that U-turn, and then back up, retracing their steps. Slight rise there, back onto the Mangrove Road, before that left and the long home straight into the finish line.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, the Ruler getting them underway in the best conditions there have been in the 8 years of the RAK Half Marathon, this being the 8th edition, and the crowd positively buzzing as they set off on their half marathon. Over 2,300 runners charge off down the Muntasir Road, with the elite, of course, up at the front end, moving much, much faster. It'll take them several minutes to cross that start line, but the elite women will quickly separate from the elite men, who are inevitably going a lot faster. The early pace, however, after only a few hundred metres, would appear to be conservative. They're not really shifting here. In years gone by, they've had pacemakers or indeed a front runner who's been happy to really push it along hard. Well, for many of the joggers, the leisure runners, it's all about just getting round, getting from A to B, many of them running for charity, of course. But for the elite, this is an important step towards the spring marathon for the majority of them. The men now taking the right off Muntasir Road. They turn right here, will run along past the mangrove swamp, commonly known as the Mangrove Road. This stretch absolutely dead flat, and interestingly too, in RAK Al-Khaimah, the road surface really high quality. The New York Marathon, one of the world's most famous marathons, the world's biggest marathon in numbers, is famed for its relatively poor road surface. Athletes have to really watch their footing for a lot of sections, but here in RAK, the conditions underfoot absolutely brilliant. 54 in the ladies' race, the diminutive figure of Mari Dibaba, who ran that marathon in China just 6 weeks ago. Will she have recovered? And there's an indication of how slowly they're going, because there's a lot of the local runners, good standard runners, but nonetheless local runners, who are within touching distance of the elite women. They really have gone out very slowly for this first kilometre. They certainly will be able to make up some of those lost seconds later in the race with an acceleration, but you can never make it all up. So lost time now, some of it will remain lost. Well, Mari Dibaba, wearing 54, is only 24 years old. Many people in the sport surprised that she is running here just 6 weeks after that very fast marathon in China in Xiamen back on January the 2nd. Will she have recovered? That is the big, big question mark. Priska Jeptu then, we can take a quick look at her. 29-year-old wearing big number 52. 66.11 last year for second place. Fabulously quick time. She'll want to go better than that today. Number 7, Wilson Kiprop. Had to drop out of the Olympic Games, 10,000 metres with an injury. Did Kiprop, so has experienced his fair share of highs and lows as the group begins to whittle down now. And one just gets the feeling that they've turned the screw a little bit. And the little man that's doing it, perhaps the shortest of this pack of elite men, Bernard Koech, the 26-year-old, in wonderful form. Well, Priska Jeptu now beginning to control things for the ladies group, although you could virtually throw a blanket over that little pack, and it's too tightly bunched for my liking, and it's an indication that they haven't really yet started moving up to optimum pace, to where they're really doing themselves justice. Well, further back down the road, the massed runners got plenty of space on these lovely wide sweeping roads of Al-Khaimah. Now, there have been changes in the men's race. Gaps appearing, or at least the group beginning to stretch out a little bit, as that same pair who were leading earlier on, Bernard Koech 2 and Wilson Kiprop, the World Half Marathon champion back in 2010, who was 7, push on. There is Kiprop's bio, or some of it at least, 59.15 last year, his quickest time. And the 26-year-old has real track credentials too, 27.01 for 10,000, which is fabulously fast. Well, it is for fun. The 100+ teams for the RAK Free Trade Zone Relay Challenge get underway then, with the ruler setting them off just 10 minutes after the massed runners of the full half marathon. Each of these athletes will run 5 kilometres, that's about 3 miles, with 4 in each team, and the fourth athlete runs 6 kilometres to make up the 21 of the half marathon. Away they go, and the atmosphere a little bit more relaxed amongst that pack than it was for the half marathon runners, who of course have got that long route ahead of them. So there's the course again, the mangrove swamp to the right, as the elite athletes, the elite men, are approaching the 5 kilometre point. And it is the little figure of Bernard Koech doing the aggressive running yet again, and there's more urgency to his stride, to the bounce in the stride of so many of these men. Wilson Kiprop, the World Half Marathon champion back in 2010, alongside him, matching him stride for stride. But as they come now through the 5 kilometre marker, well, the split is disappointing. They've gone out conservatively, we know that, and that time is slow. Well, the elite men going through 5 kilometres in 14:31, disappointingly slow. It'll be tough to make up the time lost. We were hoping it would be near 14 minutes, but maybe they've got the message now. Certainly they're motoring. The ladies will go through 5K. We'll see that right after this.
The RAK Half Marathon, the world's fastest half marathon. The RAK Half Marathon, the world's fastest half marathon.
Priska Jeptu almost dictating things like a conductor with that little pack behind her. If there was anybody up alongside her, you'd know that they were comfortable at this tempo. So already, I think, she's beginning to ask questions. Now, she's gesturing with her hand there. I don't know if she's been clipped, having her heels clipped from behind. I think that might be the problem. The ladies then going through 5 kilometres, and they outside 17 minutes. Goodness me. It's pedestrian pace for ladies of this calibre. Well, confirmation of the time, 17 minutes 14, with another 9 athletes within a second or so of Priska Jeptu. But again, they've lost a lot of time. In their case, the ladies, up to about a minute perhaps. So many of these athletes want to come here and run fast and produce a time that reflects their true fitness. Well, 55 now. That's Flamina Chayech to the left of picture. And there is Flamina's card. Won the Ostia Half Marathon down near Rome in 67:39 last year, and the Vienna Marathon champion last year as well. Well, Bernard Koech and Wilson Kiprop have never been anywhere but at the front of this race so far. Wilson Kiprop, number 7 there, has won 5 of the 7 half marathons he's ever run. That's a fabulously high success rate. 13 there, tucked in between them, Amlosum. And there's the card for Bernard Koech, who unusually ran 3 marathons last year. Most of them do 2, and the 2 of them were fast, in Dubai and in Amsterdam at the beginning and end of the year, but he did drop out of the World Championships. Athletes beginning to struggle at the back of this group. Priska Jeptu, the tallest in this field, but only just from Guteni Shone of Ethiopia. Last year, with a run here in RAK, and she ran very fast, was just beaten by 2 seconds, but finished in second place with that new personal best, and she's replicating that same racing regime to build up for London. She knows it works well, but what she knows is she's got to run fast. So she's looking for a much better split as 10 kilometres approaches. Still 11 kilometres to go. But the men, a few hundred metres up the road from the ladies, obviously. 28.5 minutes on the clock, nearly. Here they come then, towards 10 kilometres, unofficially going through there, the men, at about 28.30. And that's more like it. That last 5 kilometres, 14 minutes and 1 second. Remember, after the first 5K of 14.31. So that is a big, big difference. Well, at 10 kilometres, 28 minutes 30 confirmed for Bernard Koech, with Kiprop and Lossom on exactly the same time. Ibrahim Ceylan just beginning to struggle perhaps a bit. Well, Priska Jeptu has a little look over her shoulder there. I don't know if she was getting clipped from behind by Guteni Shone, but are those gaps appearing? And there, another gesture. Look at this. That's the hand saying, come on, move up alongside me, help with this, share the work. And Guteni Shone there in pink is saying, no thanks, you want to take it on, you do the work. And that's her right. But of course, it's always good to see cooperation from the athletes in the middle of the race. I think the gloves come off towards the latter end, but in the middle of the race, it's good to see athletes sharing the work rate, sharing the pace-making duties in effect. Well, the ladies approaching 10K now, and Priska Jeptu has got the gap. She's done so much work over the first half of the race. They're nearly at halfway, and she's got her just desserts. She asked Guteni Shone to share the tempo, to help do the work, and that request was rejected. Well, she had probably got angry from that, because now she has a gap, and she's really torn this field apart with this intense speed at the mid-race point. The time at 10K for the ladies, Priska Jeptu 32.41, and look, only 3 other athletes within 5 seconds of the Kenyan. And it is still Bernard Koech who leads. And it is a game of patience. You just have to keep working hard, knowing that you're hurting people. It really is a test of your confidence, your mental strength when you're at the front and you've got people hanging on to you. You've just got to know and keep telling yourself you are hurting them. Well, one athlete who's certainly participating well is Priska Jeptu, deep in concentration. They're trying desperately to stay in touch with her, keep her within a reasonable reach, the athletes behind, but with each stride, and she has a little glance over her shoulder there, and another, to check what damage she's done. With each stride, she's easing away from her pursuers. And 56, Hela Kiprop, 6th in RAK last year. She's hurting. 55, Flamina Czajic, the very strong marathon runner. She won in Vienna and Toronto last year. Well, we have a new leader in the men's race too. They've cut loose. Number 12, Paul Lonyangata, has had enough. Maybe he felt the pace was faltering a little bit just past halfway. But Lonyangata, for the first time, hits the front. He's only 21 years old. He's a good track runner, has good track pedigree. Well, the massed runners towards the back of the field, jogging along, only 2 or 3 miles into their race, frankly. Many, many kilometres behind the elites who are working so hard now in both races. The true racing is really on. The elite men, of course, now approaching the 15-kilometre marker down towards RAK Hospital. And it is still Bernard Koech out in front. 1 or 2 others, like Lonyangata and Ken Nagor, have gone to the front, and they go through 15K. Just around 42.5 minutes, and certainly it'll be interesting to see the pace, the tempo of this middle 10 kilometres. Remember, that first 5K was very slow, but they have been working hard now for a half an hour or so, and there's a real respectability to these splits now. The 15-kilometre marker reached, by my estimate, in just outside 42.5 minutes, and they're gathering themselves now. They've got about 6 kilometres to run. If it was a track race, they'd be in the home straight, so to speak. So psychologically, they're beginning to prepare themselves for the attack and the hard last 2 or 3 miles. Bernard Koech going through 15K in 42.38, with that group of 7 other athletes down to Lonyangata right behind him. Ken Nagor and Ceylan have dropped away. Well, they call this the loneliness of the long-distance runner, but she's worked for it, and she'll be glad to glance over her shoulder there and see empty road behind her, because frankly, They're just about all out of sight. 55 here, Flomina Chayech in second place. Moving well, but you can just tell there's not the same fluency, that she's not really attacking the road surface like Priska Jeptu is. Well, 13 to the 4 again, Nguse Amlosom. He's looked hungry for it, actually, on several occasions there, number 13 in the blue, Amlosom. He's moved up to the front or to the shoulder of the leader on several occasions, which suggests to me he's running with him himself. It'd be very interesting to see Priska Jeptu running up alongside the men now. I don't think she's moving that much more slowly. But she's approaching 15 kilometers as well. Remember, 17:14 her first 5k. Her second 5k, 15:27, much quicker. And she goes through 15k there in around just outside 48 minutes. And that's another very quick split for that third 5 kilometer segment. It'll be similar to the second 5k segment. So in both men's and women's races, a really similar pattern with a slow opening few kilometers, then a big acceleration, and this next 10 kilometers up to 15k, so much quicker. The difference is that Priska Jeptu has blown the field apart, whereas in the men's race it's still very competitive with that pack of 8 men. And that tells the story, doesn't it? My word, Priska Jeptu, 48.08, over half a minute in the lead with 6 kilometers to run. Chayech and Kiprop battling out the minor places was shown, and then a gap back to Rita Jeptu in the background. 6k to go.
The RAK Half Marathon, the world's fastest half marathon. The RAK Half Marathon, the world's fastest half marathon.
The men then, turning off Kuzam Road, past the Ruler's Palace in the background, the wall there, and now up onto the Mangrove Swamp Road. And Wilson Kiprop, number 7, losing a little bit of ground on that leading 5 or 6. Bernard Koech was confident at the press conference yesterday, the day before this race, and he's running with enormous confidence and composure here. 13, though, has dogged his heels, Amlosom there, the Eritrean, the only Eritrean in the race. All these other elites, either Kenyan or Ethiopian. Number 12 is moving well, Paul Lonyangata. And this is the final run-in. We can take a look at this as the men approach 20 kilometers along that Mangrove Swamp Road, with the Mangrove Swamp to their left, and then that final turn onto Muntasir Road, and then about a kilometer, maybe just under a kilometre, that final finishing straight. But who's going to go first? Because one indication from the tightness of this group is that nobody has really yet put their foot down on the throttle and kicked hard for home. They're into the final mile and a half, the final 3 kilometres, but nobody has yet decided to cut loose. There's a little game of cat and mouse going on here, and Lelisa Desisa, for the first time, wearing bib number 9, the Ethiopian who is perhaps the fastest marathon runner in the race, has moved to the 4 for the first time. And very quickly, Lelisa Desisa and Amlosom come to the 20 kilometer mark, and they've got a gap, and they have accelerated. They've done the damage over the last 200 or 300 meters. They've ripped away from that group, and Bernard Koech in 3rd place, the little man in yellow and black there who has done the work for most of the race. Even he can't go with this. Lelisa Desisa at 20 kilometers, 56.40 with Amlosom, and that 3 or 4 second gap. It's tough to make up at this stage. That's the last left-hand turn then, onto the Muntasir Road. And Amlosom, can you believe, in control at the moment. The chasing pack working very hard to get back to these two. But Lelisa Desisa in 2nd place is being stretched here. He's being tested by Amlosom. 14.01 for the second 5k, 14.08 for the third 5k, 14.02 for the fourth 5k. And now Lelisa Desisa moves alongside him and grits his teeth. And look at them, both of them, baring their teeth here and sprinting for the line, and the crowd roaring them on as they come towards the finish line. The 8th edition of the RAK Half Marathon, the fastest half marathon in the world, has been fabulous from the men's race, and it's Lelisa Desisa who cuts loose. He will be the champion here. Lalisa de Sousa punches the air, and rightly so, in the sunlight and breaks the tape just outside 59.5 minutes. Amlosum in second, the Eritrean. A massive personal best for him by over a minute. And then the rest of them come through the line. Wilson Kiprop third, Bernard Coetzee fourth, Bernard Kipyego fifth. What a fabulous race this has been in RAK Al-Khaimah 2014. Well, there's something perfect too about the running of Priska Jeptu. The men have finished and they're track-suited and warming down. Priska Jeptu just coming up the last stretch of Kuzam Road. She is working hard though. There's a chasing pack. They're a long way back down the road though. This is 6th, 7th and 8th places here. The climax coming for the ladies.
The RAK Half Marathon, the world's fastest half marathon. The RAK Half Marathon, the world's fastest half marathon.
Well, the sunshine continues to burn down on the runners, the temperature climbing in the early morning of this Friday of the 8th edition of the RAK Half Marathon. But in the women's race, well, it couldn't be more different to the men's, as the leader, Priska Jeptu, way out in front, goes through the 20-kilometre mark, and her time there just outside 63.5 minutes. But it'll be a long time before anybody else passes through that arch, as Jeptu now heads towards the left-hand turn before the final straight all the way down Muntasir Road towards the Manamal, near the Manamal finish line. Well, there are the times at 20 kilometres. Jeptu 63.43, over a minute the lead now she has over Flamina Chayech and Guteni Shone. Well, here she comes then. The mangrove swamp to her left now. That long raking stride has dragged her well over a minute clear of a very strong field. But look at Priska Jeptu here. Hardly anybody else in sight behind her on the Muntasir Road as she comes towards the line. It's going to be just outside 67 minutes, or is it? Very tight indeed for Priska Jeptu. The arms are aloft and she is the champion. After second place last year, she's come back and gone one place better. A nervous glance over the shoulder there of Flamina Chayech, but there's no need for it because she has got a bit of good daylight behind her. She's in second place. Priska Jeptu is done, her job for the day complete, with a big prize money going to her for the win. But this is nonetheless a very solid run for Flamina Chayech. It's going to be outside her personal best, but she too has beaten a good field here and will be pleased, I suspect, with the calibre of that run. Around 68.10 for Chayech. Well, many athletes still out on the roads, of course, the vast majority of them, in fact. Smiles galore as they begin to come towards the end of their race. Athletes of all abilities down the home straight. There's the finish line in front of them. Loads of support this year too around the finish line, which is so good to see. But the elite athletes getting their presentations as the rest are finishing. Lalisa de Sousa then receiving his award, his just rewards. That plaque, of course, beautifully designed, and some $15,000 for him in first place. And Gumuse Amlosum in second place with that massive personal best. Kiprop and Coetzee behind them. $10,000 US for second place, by the way. And the ladies as well. Priska Jeptu taking her plaque deservedly. And even more so, really, when you look at the extent of that winning margin. Well over a minute clear of Chayech and Guteni Shone, with Hella Kiprop in fourth.
All right, well, I'm with Lalisa de Sousa, the winner of this year's RAK Half Marathon. Lalisa, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
So how do you feel about winning this race?
So I am happy. I ran in 59.34 and I am happy for winning this half marathon.
What was going through your mind when you were running the race?
I want to win and I want to run 59.
Now I'm here with the female winner of the RAK Half Marathon, Priska Jeptu. Priska, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
How was it for you winning today's race?
Today I'm very happy because I managed to be the winner of this year, because last year I was second place, but today I'm very happy.
The RAK Half Marathon, the world's fastest half